Atlanta is sending to City Hall a younger, more progressive group of folks with a lot of energy and urgency. The city's facing some real challenges right now, and I am incredibly excited about the new folks that we're welcoming on council. I'm excited to be coming back with my colleagues from last term, and I'm pumped about the future. It feels like this council is going to continue moving in the direction of operating more and more as a team. And looking at the challenges that we face as a city as a collective of 15. And I'm excited about that. The issues we have to solve have to be done with that mindset in place. And so I'm pumped about people bringing their different perspectives from the districts they represent, but tackling challenges head on as a body. And I think we're going to make some really good progress over the next year.
So the legislation that was passed by council recently that I introduced as a personal paper does one simple thing. It really just provides accountability and transparency to the Atlanta stakeholders around money that they approved and authorized in 2016 and 2017 to invest in our city's infrastructure. This just asks for the projects that were proposed and put before them when they voted on it, a status report on the progress of the project, if it's been completed, if it's still in progress, or if perhaps it's for any legitimate reason been shifted or canceled. And then finally, the budgeting around it, what was originally allocated, what's been spent, are there any budget overruns or underruns? And basically what this does is it gives the public a level of confidence and a level of understanding around the city's ability to deliver what we said we were going to deliver. The types of projects that will be included in this status update are around what we call infrastructure projects. So there are the things that we come in contact with every day that really affect our quality of life. Things like roads and streets, things like bridges, things like sidewalks, things like bicycle lanes and bicycle facilities, and things like parks. So all the things that we see in our neighborhoods, we see as we go to and from school, work, or play that should be in as good a condition as possible. But sometimes, as soon as you build something over time, obviously over with wear and tear and just regular usage, they do often need just kind of fixing up or just a little bit of maintenance. So these are the types of projects that were put before the voters in 2016 and 2017. And I just want to get an update on that. And that way, when we go out and ask the voters for permission to do this again for another set of projects come this spring, they'll have this information in front of them.
Feels great to be returning for a second term, just to bring the needed change to Atlanta and across the city. Public safety is a concern, city services are a concern, and I'm looking forward to working with our new mayor, our new council president, and all of my returning and new colleagues to make Atlanta a better city for everyone.
This is another term that I'm being sworn in for. I'm just as excited as I was the first time that I was ever sworn into elective office. This is when we stand before the citizens of Atlanta and take our oaths, basically saying that we're going to keep the covenant that they have placed in us via their vote to govern the city to the best of our ability. We're very excited about the new members of the Atlanta City Council. We've got a couple of returning members also who have served previously. And of course, whatever advice and counsel that we can provide to the new members, if they so desire to need it and want it, we're more than happy to provide it and to bring them under our wing and to show them the ropes, back there on the hall down at the City Council. I'm very, very excited about this group of folks. Each brings their own unique impressions to the City Council and their legacy of service. So it's going to be great to be shoulder to shoulder with them, working on the issues and on behalf of our citizens.
feel absolutely energized and excited, not only because I was voted in for my second term as council member of District 11, but because all of the city of Atlanta residents they're excited. I keep hearing how much they're looking forward to this whole new, fresh council. I'm excited about our new mayor. I'm excited about all of the new council members that we have, and I'm excited to return with the ones that I've done so much work with. I am now going to be considered a veteran, which is actually funny to me, but at the same time, I do feel that it's important to dig in and help those that have questions. So I'm looking forward to working with them. They have great ideas. They're young, energetic, and I could use some of that as well.
The voters in District 10 have allowed me another term, and I am so excited. We will continue to work hard in the community. We will continue to work with Keep Atlanta Beautiful, Public Works, and all of the departments that help make Adamsville work.
Before the pomp and circumstance, newly elected members of the Atlanta City Council gather at City Hall for a concise overview, an introduction, if you will, to the inner workings of this important legislative body. For some, a simple notebook with a name and title brings to mind a sobering reality.
Good morning and welcome to City Hall in your new and returning capacities as members of the Atlanta City Council.
Atlanta City Council Staff Director Theo Pace heads up a support staff that will provide knowledge of everything from how to use the microphones, to getting adjusted to studio lights. There's administrative support, information technology, procurement protocols, a day filled with vital information.
Y'all ever experienced what it's like to be in the Army, this moment right now?
Yeah, this is it, right? And another
Fill out as much paperwork as you can.
And yes, lots of paperwork. One-on-one conversations for clarity. They are found in abundance.
As long as you just write about it on there.
Everyone wanted to make sure they understood what was being presented.
As you can see, the last column is your actual full council meetings. These are mandated in the code as the first and the third Monday of each month.
From there to a tour of council chamber, where in-person council meetings are held. New signs bearing the names of the newly elected council members were created and being prepared for installation in council chamber. They will be ready when in-person meetings resume. For these members, it was an opportunity to get a real feel for the voting experience, witness the technology, and be seated in the chairs from which they will legislate. They toured council offices and took official headshots for council portraits, which are housed in City Hall. It was a day of learning and establishing new friendships. Council members tell me it was a day they will never forget.
Being in this building just, kind of gives you chills about, the reverence and the importance of the position that you're in. And so I'm just so excited to be here. It's been a whirlwind. It's been 6 months for me running for office to get to this point. And I'm just really excited to do the people's work and just start doing everything we can to work with all my council members to make our city better. Constituents want to make sure that government works for them, and that's doing a lot of basic city government services like, yard and waste collection and making sure that our streets are paved and that there are adequate and safe sidewalks for everyone. And so these are some things that, I want to get to work on day one and make sure that, these resources that are put throughout the city are done in an equitable fashion, that people see that, the city is actually working for them.
I think coming in, seeing the notebook with the city seal and then my name as council member elect, it hit me a little bit. I have been very clear, I cannot and I'm not expected to do this alone. So with all of the weight that is being placed upon me by my district, they clearly understand I will be reaching out to them to help me to carry that weight. We have to address crime. But at the same time, there are some very specific things that District 3 need as we talk about affordable neighborhoods, as we talk about short-term rentals, even the safe street programs where we have true transportation in our neighborhoods. So it's a lot of things that we have to handle at once, but prioritizing those things and being able to put on a list to move them forward is the thing that we're looking to do.
I feel good. It hasn't fully sunk in yet. I'm not going to lie. It still feels like I'm in a dream, but I've appreciated really just every aspect of this journey so far. The hospitality of the city staff, just the gravitas of walking into this building in this way and being in that room. It's just been so phenomenal. I think the first thing, and one of the reasons why I got into this race at the time that I did, is that a lot of our neighborhoods in Southwest Atlanta don't have sidewalks, don't have crosswalks, don't have speed humps and speed tables to slow down speeding vehicles. And a lot of our neighbors rely on MARTA, rely on walking to the store. A lot of our kids walk or bike to school. My home neighborhood in Mechanicsville has the highest rate of kids that walk and bike to school, but the infrastructure is not there to make sure they can do so safely. At the end of the day, we got to get to work, we got to get to school.
This is all still very surreal. This is a lot of fun and a lot of information that's being thrown at us, but it's really exciting. I've already been taking the time to meet with everyone, establish each neighborhood's priorities, and working on figuring out what staff is going to work best with our neighborhood captains. But the pieces I'm most excited about working on are continuing access to the project that we're already doing around access to counsel for people facing evictions and foreclosures, trying to work on a neighborhood by neighborhood master plan, because we need to really work on balancing density with green spaces and also trying to grow our commercial districts, because we need to make sure that we have and are supporting our small businesses. And really excited about doing a lot more with Atlanta Public Schools and bringing vocational training back into our school systems.
There's definitely a sense of familiarity and comfort and excitement to be returning. I had really enjoyed my 2 terms of service before.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Utilities Committee meeting for January 25th, 2022. We will begin momentarily.
I am the chair. Apologize, I've been having some, and I'm still having some technical difficulties getting it all together here. But Ms. Kempson Wright, are we ready with the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Shook.
Here.
Councilmember Bakhtiari. Here. Councilmember Boone. Present. Councilmember Hillis.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember Wan.
Present.
And Councilmember Winston. Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum present.
Okay, thank you. I'm in the process of getting into the meeting on the line here. I do have the agenda in front of me. We've introduced the meeting. A members' meeting has been called to order. Could you please recite the remote meeting statement?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This City Utilities Committee meeting is being conducted remotely as advertised and as in accordance with the Official Code of Georgia 5014-1. The meeting will be conducted in conformance with Robert's Rules of Order and the Rules of Council as authorized by the City Code. The public may access the meeting by the following conference bridge: toll-free access 404-902-5066, conference ID 151945, which was noted on the Friday, January 21st, public meeting notice. The public may also view the meeting on Channel 26, City Council, AtlantaGA.gov, or the Council's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages via at ATO Council. All presentations are available on the Atlanta City Council City Utilities Committee presentation page. The agenda was published and made available on Friday, January 21st via atlantacitygA.iqm2.com. Public comment was accepted between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. on yesterday, Monday, January 24th. All persons present on the presentation conference bridge are requested to mute your phones and speakers. Speakers must be acknowledged by the presiding officer prior to speaking. Each council member is requested to open your Outlook email and minimize the screen to view any amendments, substitutes, and informational documents that may be distributed or were distributed earlier. Thank you all in advance for your cooperation.
All right, and thank you. Speaking of the agenda, do we have any additions?
No, we had no additions.
All right, then I will move to adopt the agenda as printed. 1 second. All right, any comments? Is this voice or electronic?
This will be an electronic vote. One moment, we're opening the vote.
All right, thank you.
The vote is open. Councilmember Hillis.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Aye.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
All right, thank you. You've received the minutes. You have pored over them intently. Unless there are any comments or questions, I will move to adopt them.
Bakhtiari, second.
All right, motion's been made and properly seconded. Let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Hillis. Councilmember Lewis.
Present.
Thank you. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the 2022 Utilities Committee goals and objectives. Ms. Kempson Wright, what was in your inbox regarding suggestions?
At this time, we are still awaiting goals and objectives from the committee members. We are asking everyone to please submit them no later than Wednesday, February the 9th, so that they can be adopted no later than the February 15th meeting.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. These, it is rare that the committees adopt these in the first cycle, so nothing unusual here. But let's review the prior goals and objectives, and let's knock that out. Mr. Wan, yes. What?
Mr. Chair, is it your intent that if we do have, would you welcome them now verbally, or would you prefer that we email them and the corresponding language to Ms. Kempson-Wright?
Yeah, let's send them to Ms. Kempson-Wright, and she can start compiling them.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Hillis?
Yeah, I just want to say I do intend on sending a number of goals and objectives over. Just been busy with public safety the past week or so, but I'll get those over by end of week. Thank you.
Yep, understood. This is a busy time for everyone. Okay, I don't see any other speakers from the queue. Did anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, fine. Ms. Kempson-Wright, we are now at public comment.
Yes, one moment. And Mr. Chair, we have been joined by Councilmember Winston.
Okay, thank you.
Greetings, council members and staff, and special greetings to you citizens of Atlanta interested in how city government is working. Ben Howard, senior advocate, public policy analyst. The news media has let the cat out of the bag about bases, boards, authorities, commissions, etc. Let's do something about those hundreds of boards, commissions, and task force vacancies. It's not fair that the people of Atlanta have to go without a functioning People TV Board of Directors. We have competent staff persons here in the city of Atlanta. Let's start assigning some of those staff persons to People TV and to other boards and commissions under the purview of the City Utilities Committee. Those 9 vacancies on the People TV Board of Directors need to be filled expeditiously. I speak about the 2 board slots that the People TV Board members are supposed to fill. I think about the 4 board slots allocated to the City Council. I think about the 3 People TV Board slots allocated to the Mayor's office. All 9 of these vacancies need to be filled with community-conscious, grassroots citizens who believe in public television and who can ensure that notices of People TV Board meetings get out to the public in accordance with state law, the Georgia Open Meetings Act. Let's start pushing citizen participation by filling these board vacancies.
Anonymous. I tuned into the City Utilities Committee meeting last time, hoping to hear something different. But it appears that even though we're in a new year and a new council, the same mistruths are being told. I was surprised to hear Commissioner Wiggins fess up and say Kanika Greenlee is running solid waste. She has been, along with Moses and Keith Robinson, since June. She got money and changed her title in emails back then. I guess now you have to say her name, since Ms. Dotson has retired and fired Josiah Williams, and you have no more people you can blame. And wow, things have only gotten worse. These folks don't know how to talk to people. They try to use bullying and intimidation, a typical trademark for fake leaders, because they have no idea what they are doing. And Ms. Joyce Shepard used to be up in arms about
how bad solid waste was, but now she's real quiet since her niece is in charge. But I guess that was part of the payoff. But don't take my word for it. I'm sure the new councilman for District 12 can confirm that nothing has gotten better over there. And Councilman Shook, I'm surprised that you sat on the committee for years and you let the commissioner get away with saying he can't tell you how many crews or employees are needed every day. What? This is a leadership issue. The employees don't trust leadership. They lie and scheme and do things behind people's backs, don't have conversations or visit the facilities, look down on employees like they're stupid, listening to gossip, having nothing to offer for improvement. Employees run their routes and see people who work for contractors observing. These contractors have no qualms in reporting what they were told by management, saying that soon they'll be the one running the route because the commissioner promised it to them. And when the commissioner was asked, he flat out lied. But that's a Fox 5 headline soon enough. You know, blaming the employees so they can justify giving contracts to their friends. But these problems are because of lack of leadership. You have more employees now than you had before. You still can't get the job done. How are we still on this get and go with all this trash on the ground? Look at parking lot 1 and 2. The employees are gone, and when they work weekends, they're paid for a full 8 hours, even if they only work 2 or 3. And this contract is for yard trimmings. That's a waste of money. The contractors brag on how much they're getting paid if they pick up 1 or 2 tons or 10 tons. They still get paid. Nobody checks their work, and they must only be working on the northeast area because the south side is a...
That concludes public comment, Mr. Chair. Okay, things sounded a little choppy there after in between the first and second callers. Did we skip anybody, or did we actually hear everybody?
We heard everyone. There was one caller where the entire call was muffled.
Okay. All right, then that concludes public comment and brings us to today's consent agenda, Ms. Kempson-Wright.
Items for first read. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $4 million to transfer funds from the Watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the GDOT-IGA utility relocation and municipal projects project. And for the purposes, that is our only first read, 22-1085.
All right, thank you. As a first read, we'll take this up next time. Now on to the regular agenda, ordinances for second reading.
Item number 2 is 22-1025, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to ratify services rendered in connection with Agreement FC1190080, Green Infrastructure Design Challenge Outdoor Activity Center with Fulcrum Incorporated, beginning November 2nd, 2021, and to authorize the mayor and his designee to execute the Second Amendment to the agreement to extend the term of the agreement retroactively effective from November 2nd, 2021 through June 1st, 2022 at no additional cost on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management in accordance with Section 21163, subsection C of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances and for other purposes.
Thank you. Who's presenting? Oh, Mr. Hillis, did you have a comment or question?
I just have a question in regards to this legislation. When we hear from the presenter, my question is, why is this almost 3 months retroactive at this point?
That was my question too. Mr. Hill?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. The Department of Watershed Management is requesting the entering into amendment to the agreement to extend the terms of the agreement no additional cost. The extension of time will allow the AE to complete bidding and support services, answering any questions from potential proponents that may arise during advertisement of an invitation to bid. Legislation would authorize the commissioner or mayor to execute one or more contract amendments to extend the term of the agreement to a date no later than June 1. As some background, the Outdoor Activity Center is located on City Park land as an outdoor learning classroom as part of the West Atlanta Watershed Alliance Community Center located at 1442 Richland Road. The project includes the design of green infrastructure strategically placed throughout the Outdoor Activity Center to mitigate erosion and nuisance flooding as a result of moderate rain. Due to the nature of the project, which is stream restoration, we determined that the method of procurement for construction should be an invitation to bid. Originally, we intended to use the successful proponent for a stream restoration annual contract as the method of procurement for our construction. However, with the evaluation of those proposals that was completed in early October, it was determined there wasn't a successful bidder. As such, the method of procurement for construction will require advertisement of an invitation for bid, and it will be necessary for the consultant in this agreement to provide bidding and support services. Once we found out that there was not a successful proponent for the stream restoration contract, we immediately put together our package for this legislation and put it through with procurement, and that was submitted October 28th to procurement. And it's taken this long for that to get through the process. That's why we're asking for a retroactive.
Okay, I see. Mr. Ellis.
Yep, that was just my question, but Deputy Commissioner Hill answered it. Seems to be an issue with procurement as usual.
Indeed. Anyone else with any questions or comments? Yeah, we're done. I'm sorry?
You asked if I had a comment in Antonio.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see you recognized to speak, but you are now, so go ahead.
Yep. So I just want to know the minority participation with Volkert Incorporated as they actually put this stuff in action. Just want to know, I looked at the board of that company, looked at some of the stuff. I just want to make sure they're meeting the minority participation rules as well.
We can get that information to you. I don't have it right in front of me at this time.
Well, when do you think you can have it to them?
Well, we can have it probably today.
Please do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we have a motion and a proper second, but let me ask this. Do you think if we put this item aside and come back to it at the end of the meeting, do you think we could have it by then?
I can try.
You know, barring that, Mr. Winston, you always have the option of moving this go forward with favorably on the condition of receiving that information before the council meeting.
Chair?
Yes. Yes.
Just a quick correction. It was Councilmember Lewis, I think, that was raising the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Indeed, Mr. Lewis, I apologize. All right, let's put this aside. Let's move ahead, and hopefully Mr. Hill can get us that document before we conclude. So let's move on to item 3.
Item number 3 is 22-0-1026, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee to correct ordinance number 21-00767, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on October 18, 2021, and approved by operation of law on October 27, 2021, by deleting the incorrect contract term included therein for contract listed solid waste services supplemental staffing with Georgia Works Incorporated, and inserting the correct contract term of 9 months retroactively effective November 21st, 2021 through August 20th, 2022, and for other purposes.
All right, so what you see is what you get. This is a corrected ordinance. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Well, I move approval.
Yeah, I'll second. So there's nothing else. Let's open the vote. Yes, Mr. Helps.
Just specifically, would like to hear from the Commissioner what Georgia Works is tasked with doing under this, as they are also receiving money from my office, and I know other council members have been paying them as well to fill in the gaps that we're experiencing with special operation services, loader pickup, and things like that with DPW. So I'd just like to hear what the partnership is here with Georgia Works.
And just the Commissioner with us.
One moment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Al Wiggins, Commissioner DPW. My line was muted. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I understand the question correctly, I believe the question is, how is DPW currently utilizing laborers from Georgia Works? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so currently we're using Georgia Works for assistance with our curbside collection operations. As you know, our biggest staffing shortages are in that particular division. So they're used as collectors and general laborers at this particular time. Many of the Georgia Works laborers have been onboarded as full-time employees with the Department of Public Works after going through a working test period. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner. And I was kind of admittedly using this as an end just to discuss, the fill-ins that I've had to do and our other council members have to do working, contracting out to Georgia Works. And they're, a great partner, but that partnership comes with a cost, as it does the DPW. And while we're, collecting a solid waste fee from customers for special operations, and in my experience, those special operations aren't necessarily happening. I know we're, in the space we are with labor shortage and things like that, but we have a very, I guess you would say, non-robust council office budget. And myself, we've done 4 cleanups, and I've already spent $10,000 and probably going to spend another 5 within the next month or 2, just getting my streets cleaned up from litter and scrap tires and dumping and things like that. So what's the path forward here to getting DPW back in a space where our council offices aren't spending $10,000+ to keep our streets clean?
Councilmember Hill, that will be a big part of Mayor Dickens' push, the new phase of Operation Clean Sweep, which I will provide an update during DPW's next update to the CUC. Many of the issues that you have mentioned will be addressed under this program, such as the illegal dumping and the routine maintenance that involves litter removal and mowing operations. So look forward to sharing that information during my next update.
I look forward to it. Thank you for the info, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, you're up.
Commissioner Wiggins, I have a quick question. I understand, are we using Georgia Works as a labor pool? And if so, are we hiring direct workers from our citizens, or are we only onboarding from Georgia Works?
Councilmember Lewis, that's a great question. So we're doing, it's a combination of both. So we have used Georgia Works employees in the past that have been hired. We're currently using them. It's a great opportunity to observe their performance as somewhat of a working test period. Should they be able to perform the work satisfactorily, many of the Georgia Works employees have been hired. So it's a combination of both.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Members, any other questions or comments? I will move approval.
One second.
comments? If there are none, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you. Let me ask, assuming the commissioner is still with us, could we get a brief status report regarding the solid waste manpower situation?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I heard solid waste and I didn't hear the other item.
Yes. Could you give us a brief update, please, as to where things stand today?
Yeah. So our staffing situation is improving each day. We have returned just short of our staffing levels pre-Omicron. We anticipate that by the 31st that we will return to our normal staffing levels. We're also looking at onboarding additional staff members, approximately 30, which will give us 10 crews. So things are progressing as we anticipated. We feel very comfortable that by the 31st of January, we will be able to return to normal operations. We are spending our time currently looking for areas or any missing pockets where there may be standing recycling or yard debris. We have deployed our quality assurance teams that have circulated the area. So our approach has been just identifying areas of the city strategically and canvassing the areas as we prepare to go back into our normal operation.
Okay. Ms. Lewis.
It was by mistake. I removed it.
Oh, okay. Anyone with any questions or comments for the commissioner today? All right, seeing none, let's move on to the next item.
Item number 4 is 22-01027, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $2 million and 0 cents to transfer funds from the Watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the small water meter installation project and for other purposes.
And who's presenting? Is Mr. Hawkins muted, perhaps?
Yes, I think I'm off now. Thank you, Councilmember Shook. Eric Hawkins, Department of Watershed Management. This is an annual appropriation of $2 million from capital funding to support small meter installations. The city currently averages 1,500 small meter installations per year. In 2021, the department averaged 27 small meter installations per week and 118 installations per month. These installations also speak to the continuous growth within our service areas and new construction development. This is a mission critical function and service provided by contractor Cam Davis.
All right, let me ask you this. So if you get a request for a new meter, what's the timeline between the request and installation?
We have recently made some adjustments to our SLA for small meters. We are aggressively trying to meet a 4-week SLA. We have not yet achieved that. We're still working with installation requests prior to this SLA going into place. But essentially, the SLA historically has been 15 weeks. So we're trying to manage this down to 4 weeks. There's a caveat to that, however. This 4 weeks is for single meters. So As the number of meters increase, it scales up to 6, 8, and all the way up to I believe 13 weeks. But it really depends on the number of meters going in the ground, and that basically carves out the SLA for that particular job.
Okay, I'm going to want to follow up there, but Mr. Hillis, you're up.
Yeah, great minds think alike, and you took my question from me on the timeline and the need to do better. I've received quite a few complaints about the wait time that even goes past the current SLA, so hoping to see some improvements there. Thank you.
Yeah, this has been a chronic situation. Can you summarize for us what the obstacles are to getting a meter installation timely?
Well, a good portion of the timeline historically has been around getting the permits, and oftentimes you have large developers that take up a good percentage of the installations. They're not always ready for the meter, so we have to reschedule them. So I don't know if some of what you guys may be hearing if it's a result of the meters not being ready to go on the ground, so we have to reschedule those. And we have a schedule that typically goes out anywhere from 30 to 60 days in advance. As the meter requests come in, they're scheduled, and we start that process. But it typically take within the city limits. It could take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get a permit.
And why is that?
I'm not sure. I think a lot of it is just based on the right of way. There may be some requirements, some GDOT requirements, but I can give you a better explanation as to drill down further.
Is it a meter? I'm sorry. Is it a meter availability issue? And if I call in and ask for a meter, it's not that you have to wait for one to show up.
No, absolutely not. Correct. We have a good inventory of meters.
And which city entity is responsible for the permitting for a new meter?
Inside of the city is Public Works, but outside of that, it's dependent on the demographic area. So Sandy Springs, you'll get your permit through Sandy Springs, and so on and so forth. Also, we have to keep in mind that we have to manage within the amount of available crews. So right now, for this particular contract, we have 2 crews. We are working to add additional crews as we manage to the new guidelines.
And I'm sorry, I've lost you on audio.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, but I think we missed your last sentence or two.
Currently, we operate with 2 crews with the particular contractor, and as we have modified our SLAs, we're looking to add more crews. So what really drives the timeline for installations is particularly the available crews and the time it takes to get to permit.
Okay. Is there a water utilities industry standard regarding this?
There is not. There is not a industry standard. Well, we do recognize that we can do a lot better in closing in that 13-week or 15-week historical SLA. And the commissioner has worked very diligently to examine the operations with leadership to determine what the suitable SLA should be based on the amount of meters going in the ground. And so that's what we're really gearing up to execute on.
Okay. Well,
not to mention that there has also been a somewhat commitment from one of our larger developers to start exploring the self-install program. So that will open up our bandwidth and help further close in our SLAs as well.
All right. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm sure the committee would like to help get this expedited and kind of ratchet the wait time down to what appears to be more reasonable. In the meantime, what's before us now is to be able to procure the meters that we know we're going to need in the fields.
Yeah. Thank you. And had some follow-up questions given the comments from Watershed kind of reignited my memory. So historically, I don't know if this is ongoing, but you mentioned larger developers, being a majority of this. If we could somehow address them, that would free up, the one-offs and speed up the time for that. But
yes,
if my memory serves me correctly, there is or was a program where certified, developers that had, certified crews to install these could get meters from Watershed and install them themselves. The problem was that Watershed, at least what I've been told, is Watershed would only give them like 10 or 20 plus meters at a time, so they had to have those addresses in line to get 10 plus meters. So developer couldn't just get 1, 2, 3, or 4 meters to install in new homes. And so what's the status of that program, and why has Watershed taken that approach? It seems that we would welcome developers with certified teams to install these to take some of the pressure off us internally.
Councilmember Hill, what I can say to that is a lot of it is just coordinating and communicating with the large developers, particularly the opportunity for self-installments have always been there. You're correct. There is a minimum of 20 meters that are required. The challenge with the one-offs, with the one-off installations, is the fact that the department has to provide inspectors on site to oversee the work that the developers are doing to make sure, the installation is in compliance. The bandwidth has historically not been there to support those particular one-off installations for self-installations. So that's why the threshold has been established at 20, meaning that we can stretch our inspectors out a lot farther. And also we want to be able to encourage the developers to put more meters in the ground, because it's just a more efficient strategy for both the developer and the department.
Right, and I'm not even suggesting that, one-offs necessarily be allowed for large developers, but, working to get to a number of less than 20, whether it's half that at 10 or 5 or something like that, to allow them more opportunity, because it's very unlikely, unless there's, large townhomes or something, that, developers are magically going to have 20 houses that are ready for meter installation at the exact same time. So, hoping to see some improvements and efficiencies developed in that program.
Yes, that'll be something that we'll certainly take another look at, and that will be in the area of our Office of Engineering Services.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hillis. Do developers need to buy the meters from the city, or can they, provide the ones that meet city specs?
I think the requirements for the developers to get the meters from the city.
Well, sounds like a kind of an interesting monopoly there. I don't know that we do that with toilets or water heaters or a number of other things. Why not allow them to further telescope this process into a more manageable timeline by saying, here are the meters that you must install, go buy them.
Well, we have a contract with Neptune. That's who we get our meters from. So that's what historically has been in place. Now Neptune supplies all our meters to the city.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that Neptune meters might continue to be the meters that are installed everywhere. I'm wondering in the back of my mind how much more cheaply the private sector could buy these meters than us under a government contract. But I'll let that be a rhetorical question for the moment. Mr. Lewis, you're recognized.
Thank you, Councilmember Shook. And I stand with Councilmember Shook when he said that the private developers can actually buy it. And they can probably even use Neptune. My question to the commissioner is this citywide, or will the 20 meters be going to all 12 of the city districts, council districts? Or can you tell me which districts or will 18 of them go to just 2 districts?
I'm sorry. I don't believe I quite understand the question. I would do my best to answer. So the requirement for self-installation requires the purchase of 20 meters. Where those 20 meters may go is based on the jobs that the sites that the developer is working. It could be multiple sites, those 20 meters could be distributed to. Well, that is not something necessarily that we're concerned about. We just provide the oversight of the installations.
So just to clarify, we're buying the meters and holding them until a developer asks us for them, then we give them out that way?
Yeah, we purchased the meters from Neptune, and whether those meters are put in the ground by us or the developer through self-installs, we provide the meters.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Other comments? Okay, well, obviously, again, we'd all like to help telescope this process, make it more customer-friendly, a little less bureaucratic. However, what's before us is, in terms of the question is, are we or are we not going to continue to, have the meters that we need? And so I will move approval. Second. Okay, I'm sorry. Second by Winston. Okay, thank you. If there's no questions or comments, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 1 nay. This item is favorable.
Okay, thank you. Item is favorable. It will be on our committee report, full council meeting. Am I correct in understanding that the answer to Mr. Lewis's question has arrived?
Yes, Deputy Commissioner Todd Hill is available to answer that question.
Okay, well, let's go to Mr. Hill and find out what the answer is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chair, our minority business enterprise participation is 35%, and our female business enterprise participation is 19% for this contract.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis?
So you mean to tell me that, 1 second. 54% of the contract is going to minority or female businesses, correct? That's correct. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, let's go back then. I believe we had a proper motion to approve and a second. Is that correct, Ms. Kempson-Wright?
No, we did not.
Oh, we did not. Well, I'll make the motion to approve.
Juan, second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any other additional questions or comments? Seeing none, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Okay, thank you. Let's pick up where we left off.
Item number 5 is 22-0-1028, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 water and wastewater renewal and extension fund budget in the amount of $20,470,000 to transfer funds from Watershed Reserve Fund for Appropriations and add funds to the Sewer Group 5 Capacity Relief Westside PTC Basin Project 2A and for the purposes.
Thank you. Presented by Commissioner Browning is perhaps muted.
Hey, good morning, Chairmanship, members of the City Utilities Committee. Can you hear me? This is Nikita Browning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. The purpose of this legislation is to appropriate and add funds for the Sewer Group 5 Westside Peachtree Creek Capacity Relief Project 2A. Project will be funded utilizing the WIFIA Master Bond Agreement. This is a consent decree project that will continue efforts to upgrade the city's sewer system, enhance system capacity, and eliminate sewer overflows pursuant to the Second Amendment to the First Amendment consent decree. Project would take place within the Peachtree Creek Sewer Basin. Roughly 31,000 linear feet of trunk sewer is scheduled for upgrade, utilizing an open cut replacement method ranging in size from 10 inches to 24 inches in diameter. We will be utilizing a design build delivery approach to facilitate implementation of this project. Subject to your questions, this completes my project overview.
Mr. Hillis.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Browning. Just a question for my knowledge. Where is obviously along Peachtree Creek, but where's the specific location or general location of where this infrastructure upgrade is going to be installed?
So this project, there's a sister project, which is the East Side Trunk. It is easterly, I believe, within the vicinity, close to the Lindbergh area. So it's within that area of Peachtree Creek.
All right, thank you for that.
No problem.
Mr. Juan.
Thank you. Commissioner Browning, was this project driven, and since I've been gone for 4 years, it'll be helpful for me. Was this driven by any sort of recurring problem, an instance or a situation somewhere, or is this just part of kind of the general grind of replacements and consent decree projects?
Yes. Thank you for that question, Councilman Juan. It's a part of our overall strategic plan to upgrade our sewer system. So as a result of the sewer system evaluation survey that was completed many years ago to assess, the conditions of the sewers throughout our city, coupled with our extensive flow monitoring program and observance of sewer overflows across the system, we did recognize that there were overflows occurring within this conduit in particular. And so as a result, we determined that it needed some improvements, some upsizing to accommodate future growth and just for capacity reasons. That was really the driver for this project.
Okay. I'll be supportive of this. Thank you for that background information. You did mention that there's a sister project, or this one is located at Lindbergh, or it's associated with it. It'd be helpful for me to know also if when we do our follow-up, I'm curious about the Liddell capacity relief project and if this will also support and help the performance and need and capacity over there too. So, like I said, I'm supportive of this, but let's set up a conversation so I can follow up on those other items, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, this is Alex. I'll pull forward a motion to approve.
Thank you. I will second it. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, let's open the vote, please.
The vote is open. Vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you. Item 6.
22-01029, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to amend the fiscal year 2022 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in the amount of $700,000 to transfer funds from Watershed reserves for appropriations and add funds to the annual Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition Maintenance Project and for other purposes.
Thank you. Who's presenting?
Good morning, Chairman Schiff. This is Nikita Brown again. I'll be presenting this legislation. The purpose of this legislation is to appropriate funds for the annual Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition Maintenance SCADA project. SCADA is critical instrumentation and controls infrastructure that allows the department to control and monitor assets and processes locally and from remote locations, monitor and process data real time, directly interact with devices such as various system sensors, valves, pumps, and motors within our water treatment and reclamation facilities. The funding will allow the department to continue providing necessary system support and the acquisition of critical parts and on-call services. The upgrades will also help with modernizing existing systems to safeguard against cybersecurity threats. Subject to your questions, this completes my project overview.
Okay, so this is about leaning on tech as opposed to having people running around, hands-on with various elements of the infrastructure. Is that right?
Yes, it'll allow us to modernize and be able to monitor and control certain facilities remotely. We still have to have physical bodies to go out to the facilities and troubleshoot for maintenance, but it will allow us to more efficiently monitor the overall performance and operation of our facilities.
Thank you. Questions or comments, colleagues? Swiss.
Commissioner Browning, I think you briefly mentioned that this also does include some aspect of security for this new system, but could you speak to that just a little bit more?
I can't speak intelligently to it, but I do know that it has some infrastructure or components that will allow us to better determine if there's any kind of cybersecurity or malware threats or things that would jeopardize the operation of our facilities and various assets that are housed at the facilities. And sorry, I'm not a tech person. I'm presenting this on behalf of our information management team. But at any rate, the components would allow us to better safeguard against those types of threats and things so that we're not at risk as a water utility.
Thank you. Yeah, more I was just trying to make sure that was a thought in terms of us going this direction, but it seems like that's something that's been thought out. So
absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with a question or comment? I'll make a motion to approve.
Bakhtiari, second.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
All right, thank you. On to resolutions.
Item number 7 is 22R3115. It's a resolution by City Utilities Committee to authorize the mayor, his designee, to add funding to a joint task order fund in an amount not to exceed $12 million to allocate that funding for use under 6 agreements for RFPX 1200311 Architectural Engineering Design and Construction Management Services. Agreement A is with Arcadis BPA Joint Venture, a joint venture of Arcadis U.S. Incorporated and Brinley Peters and Associates Incorporated. Agreement B is with Atlanta Water Partners Joint Venture, a joint venture of Jacobs Project Management Company and Engineering Design Technologies Incorporated. Agreement C is with CDM Smith Benchmark Joint Venture, a joint venture of CDM Smith Incorporated and Benchmark Management LLC. Agreement D is with FWR Joint Venture, a joint venture of Freeze and Nichols Incorporated, Wade Trim Incorporated, and Williams Russell and Johnson Incorporated. Agreement E is with H2R Joint Venture, a joint venture of Hazen and Sawyer PC and RT2 Incorporated. Agreement F is with HDR Roadfox Joint Venture, a joint venture of HDR Engineering Incorporated and Roadfox Construction Control Services Corporation to provide professional architectural, engineering, design, and construction management services for the Department of Watershed Management on a task order basis for capital improvement plan projects, to authorize the execution of the First Amendment to each of those agreements on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management, to add funding for professional architectural, engineering, design, and construction management services in an amount not to exceed $12 million for each agreement. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed and for the purposes.
Well, thank you for speaking to this.
Good morning, Chairman Shook and council members. This is Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management. In September of last year, we had a kick-off meeting for our 6 architectural engineering, design, and construction management services consultants. And this is very, very important that we need to be able to fund the task orders performed by the consultants. So back in November, Council passed legislation to add $12 million to the Joint Task Order Fund that is used to fund the task orders for Watershed Management's consultants. This amendment will add an amount not to exceed $12 million to the Joint Task Order Fund, allocate those funds and amend the contracts for services performed by the 6 AE firms. Let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. I see a number of people in the queue. Mr. Winston, you are first. Was that left over from the last item?
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, it is. I'll remove that.
Okay, that's fine. We'll go to Mr. Hillis, followed by Juan, followed by Lewis. Mr. Hillis.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Bacaro. So if memory serves me correctly, this is the original legislation of this awarding this joint task order was the one that drug out through committee and council for a number of cycles due to some concerns that myself and other council members had regarding 2 of the awardees, Arcadis mainly, but also Jacobs, and some of their past performance, and also a public corruption case that involved Arcadis and one of their VPs in neighboring Alabama Department of Watershed Management, one of their large cities. So I guess my question is, since that time, how has the performance been of Arcadis and Jacobs? That's something you can speak on, or if we need to hear from procurement on that. I'd like to hear about how their performance has been since that time.
Yeah, Councilmember Hillis, thank you for your question. Work started back in the earliest task orders that we issued were in December. So typically we do our performance evaluations every 6 months, or when a task order has been completed. So with respect to Arcadis, the work that they've got a number of task orders. So far, the work that they've been performing has met or exceeded our expectations. Jacobs is similarly with Jacobs. They are part of the Land and Water Partners joint venture. They have a couple of task orders at the moment. Again, we have no current concerns about their performance. They've been meeting our requirements.
Thank you, sir. May have more, but I'll defer to my colleagues first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Vaccaro, if I understand you correctly, you said that there was an initial tranche of funding in $12 million in November of 2021, and now in January you're coming back for another $12 million. Did I understand that correct?
No, Councilmember One, just wanted to explain what happened was in November we asked Council and they passed an ordinance to add $12 million of funding to the Joint Task Order Fund. The way the contracts are written is that there's a ceiling of $5 million. So what this resolution does is it increases that the amount from $5 million to $12 million so that we can issue additional task orders over the $5 million. So we're not adding another 12 million. I hope that explains.
Okay. Yeah, that is very helpful. Thank you. Because I was going to say that's kind of a quick turnaround to come back and ask for the same amount. And I'm assuming the $12 million, you're anticipating that to be the duration of that to be for 1 year, or is it for the base 3 years of this contract, of this task order? Sorry.
Yeah, the $12 million actually covers through to the end of FY22 to June the 30th, or maybe a little bit into FY23. Then we've already budgeted for FY23, so we will be coming back mid-year to add additional funding to the Joint Task Order Fund so that we can fund additional task orders. But this carries us through to the end of FY22.
Okay, thank you. And then refresh my memory too, once the task orders are identified and then negotiated under a task force procurement, do those individual task orders come back legislatively through council, or do you have the authority to go ahead and just proceed with those?
We have, in terms of the legislation, we have the authority to go ahead with those. With just one caveat, obviously, when we have the quarterly reports, we give feedback on the status of those task orders. So and as I mentioned to Councilmember Hillis, we do a 6-monthly performance evaluation of each of the consultants and all their respective task orders.
Okay, thank you. Now, if we wanted to see at the end of the appropriate period, say the end of FY 2022, of this $12 million, how they were allocated amongst the 6, if they were evenly assigned task orders, or if maybe one contractor got all $12 million, how would we receive that information or request, or what would be the appropriate vehicle for us to be able to look back at that?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. We track that information by a consultant, and one of the things that we've done in the past, and we'll do that again, is that we will provide a table that sort of indicates the the dollar amount and number of task orders that have been issued to each of the consultants. So typically we've presented that when Commissioner has done her quarterly report, so we'll make that available.
Okay, I'm not sure if that report includes the level, kind of being able to track those task orders back to the funding papers or something like this. If it's all aggregated, it's not as useful to me. Like what I'm getting at is, what I'm hoping we will see is that of the $12 million that we are approving today, that it's not all going to one contractor, that indeed that this process of identifying 6 different, and going through the procurement process to identify 6 outfits that can perform the work, that we are utilizing all of them as best we can. So hopefully, depending on what the content of that report is, if the first time I see it, if I feel like we want to get more information, just know that that will be the thread that I'm going after. The last question I have is regard to, in the notes and the backup documentation for this paper, I'm seeing that the RFP was advertised and closed in May of 2020. And if I understand you correctly, y'all didn't get to conversations with the contractors until September of 2021. Is that correct?
No, it was before that. I just can't remember the exact timeline. I think the Councilmember One, it was earlier than that. I just can't remember when we started, because there was a whole evaluation process. I thought it started in about May of that year, and then we concluded by September, because we had, I think it was 13. There were 13 proposals, yeah, and then I think 10 were deemed responsive and were evaluated. It took a long time to do that, and there was quite a big evaluation group that looked at everything.
But Mr. Vaccaro, then, are you saying that is the backup information incorrect? So these dates all be 2021 and not 2020? Because otherwise, we're talking now that we're our 16, 18 months after the RFP closed, that we are here with this piece of paper in front of us. That was my bigger question, is did it really take that long, and what happened? Or if you're saying that it was 2021 and the dates on this are incorrect, then that makes a big difference.
The dates were not incorrect, and Councilmember Hillis alluded to it took the legislation was held several times because there was a lot of information that there was a lot of follow-up that was done by the CUC and before a decision could be made. Otherwise, the award would have been earlier.
Okay. I'll follow up with y'all separately on this. I think Councilmember Hillis mentioned it was held a couple, 3 cycles, and that would add 4 or 6 weeks, and here we are, 18 months after when the RFP closed. So I don't know if there's something else that is holding up procurements during that time. I just want to make sure that that somehow or another that is resolved, because that's some of the things that we're hearing about in the community about challenges with doing business with the city. So thank you. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And before recognizing Mr. Lewis, I understand that the Commissioner's on the line and wanted to piggyback on this issue. So, Commissioner, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, Chairman Shook. Councilman One, I will plan to follow up with you. It was to Councilman Hillis's point, it was a very elongated process to get to an award of the contract that we have right now. So I'll plan to follow up with you and provide some context and background on the process.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner.
Right, no problem.
All right, thank you. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you for recognizing me, Councilman Shook. I want to make we $2 million. If you do 6 people, 6 organizations for $12 million. The people I wanted to look at most is Arcadia to find out the minority participation. I do understand that their company is based in Amsterdam. And I looked up we also saw that the 2 men who were indicted for false invoice scheme in Alabama, one of them was the president of a company that was doing direct work with Arcadia. And so I definitely want to look into that a little bit more. So I want to know the minority participation for Arcadia. I also want to know the bid process for Arcadia. And the other company, and because I don't understand why we'd be doing business with people like this. And the other company I want to look at is Rohack Fox Construction. I want to know their minority participation in bid process as well. Thank you.
Hey, Councilman Lewis, we can provide you the minority percentages for each of the contracts, and we can get your response to your question.
Councilmember Smith, can I be recognized? Or Chairman?
Yes.
Just a quick edit. It's not Arcadia, it's Arcadis, so that might clear up some of the issues because I'm looking at Arcadis right now and it's a different type of company. So I just want to make sure we cleared up any confusion around that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to interject with a request, Commissioner. Could you refresh us, update us on the process by which Watershed Management selects which firm to do what jobs?
Yeah, absolutely, Chairman Shook. So we try to use a pretty transparent and balanced process. If there is just, for understanding, we enlist the services of these 6 teams to provide support, various engineering, design, construction management support to Watershed for a variety of projects, mainly associated with our capital improvements program, but they also provide support for various environmental studies, et cetera. And so when there is a need, if we have a project that we're looking to activate through our Office of Engineering Services, the Program Management Office will develop a scope of work for whatever the need is, and that scope of work is launched to all 6 teams. So they can competitively provide a proposal consisting of an approach and a cost for the work that we're seeking assistance with. And so we have a balanced panel of team members within the respective areas of wherever the work has been requested that will review the proposals that are received and determine which team has the best approach and capabilities and cost to provide the services that we need. So we do launch to all 6 teams, and it is a competitive process, and we determine which one is the most responsive and capable to assist us with whatever the scope of work is. I hope that answers your question, Chairman Shook.
Yeah, thank you. In terms of other speakers, I see Mr. Hillis and Mr. Lewis. I'm not sure if those are, related to former requests or current ones, but Mr. Hillis, you're up.
Yeah, for now, that's a holdover, Chairman Shook.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lewis. Mr. Lewis, you're recognized if you had a question or comment.
I got a question and a comment. So Arcadius, I was talking about the right time. They just pronounced it wrong. Arcadius. The other company I want to also look at is Jacobs, because as recently as April 30th of 2021, William Nobles of the AJC wrote an article about how they did a snafu at Stonecrest Mall, in which they were part of another fraud scheme, and they're part of this contract as well. So we can also put to them as well. Councilmember Hillis actually is on record questioning why we were doing business with Jacob
in Arcadis last year as well. So, thank you. And
yeah, I'm sorry. I may have lost my audio. Mr. Lewis asked a question, and then
I was actually going to read a direct quote from his paper from AJC, because this actually when they came through, this made the AJC. William Noble talked about it. Jacobs kickback, they call it a kickback allegation, and Stonecrest, and the federal conviction of Arcadis vice president over Georgia and Alabama operations due to false invoicing schemes. So these two companies have had false invoicing schemes as recently as the last year and a half, 2 years. And Councilmember Natlin Archibong said they would be tracking it. Let's see what came from that tracking that Councilmember Natlin Archibong is quoted in the AJC is saying. What came from that tracking? That would probably help me render my vote in favor of this. I need to see at least what came from that tracking from those particular companies.
That's fine, Mr. Wood. That question is directed to the Commissioner.
Hey, Councilor Lewis, when you say tracking, you want a summary of all the task orders that have been issued to both companies over the past 12 months?
Now, I want to be more specific. Councilmember Natlin Archibong last year, I'll send this to you as well. She chaired the Utilities Committee and passed the contracts that were questioned last year with Jacobs and Arcadis. She said that they're going to be tracking the companies and tracking what they were doing, because within the past 2 years, they've both been involved in federal kickbacks. Well, Jacobs in a kickback scheme, and Arcadis, their vice president, the person who was over Georgia in particular, was over in a fake invoicing scheme. So I just want to know what came about from the tracking that Councilmember Natlin Archibong said she was doing as recently as April 30th, 2021.
I understand, Councilman Lewis. We're tracking the performance of those two teams as well as the other four. What Deputy Commissioner Akara stated is we do a performance evaluation on the teams every 6 months. So you can, as he stated to date, both teams have performed satisfactorily, but the tracking would be us tracking the performance of those two teams in addition to the other four that were awarded contracts.
Okay, but those two in particular, I would just like to see what came from the October tracking. If we do it every 6 months, I know we gave it to them in April 30th. What came from the October? And those two in particular, because they were mentioned in this. And I just want to stand up for Councilmember Hillis, who's been watching this since April 2001, at least.
We can certainly get that information to you, Councilman Lewis.
All right, thank you. Shook with a question. Would internal evaluations should they be shared with council, would that be attorney-client privilege or a matter of
That is a good question. Chairman Shook, allow me to speak with Department of Law. Certainly, we would provide that information to Department of Procurement. Let me get you an answer to that.
Okay, well, that's
I think we would be. We should be able to share that information with you, because certainly we would share it with other internal departments and teams.
Councilmember Shook, can I just add one thing to what the Commissioner was saying, and in response to Councilmember Lewis, that he was asking for tracking from October. Now, the work on the new contract has only started in October, November sort of time frame, but there wasn't the previous contracts. Arcadis and Jacobs were part of joint ventures, and we can provide their performance evaluations for the work that they were doing last year.
For clarification, we'll be providing the performance for the previous contract.
For the previous, that's correct. That's correct, Commissioner. Yes.
all right. Well, yeah, so for the benefit of the new members and the refreshment of the returners, you know, this was a source of a lot of conversation last term, a lot of questions asked, a lot of doubts cast, frankly, which caused this to be dragged out over a protracted period. I will say that in the world of A&E contracts, who's selected for what has always been a lively internal topic, but I'll leave it right there for now. Mr. Lewis, I see you been asked. Well, no, now you're going. Mr. Hills, is that a leftover?
No, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Just listening to the concerns, and you know, I still admittedly have concerns from the original piece of legislation, and I know we have a number of new and returning members to this committee. So I'm unless Watershed wants to, you know, say this is very time sensitive, I think we have some work to do. Watershed has some work to do on having some talks with the new members and returning members as well. So at this point, I'm going to make a motion to hold.
Winston is second.
Thank you.
Backyard second.
Commissioner, that motion has been made and properly seconded. Mr. Warren, and then I'd like to hear from the department.
Yeah, I do want to make sure I'm supportive of the motion, provided that there aren't any pressing design projects that need to move forward due to, you know, domino effect on other critical projects. But yeah, I obviously we all have a lot of questions, so I'd appreciate commissioners weighing in on that.
Understood. Thanks, Nikita Brown, Commissioner. Definitely understand your concerns collectively to the Utilities Committee members. We do have some very pressing projects that we're looking to fund and get our AEs engaged to support us. And so I will make myself available to meet with you individually or collectively as you are available to address any questions or concerns that you have regarding the services that are provided underneath these very critical contracts. So I will be reaching out to each of you to speak with you and hopefully look to move this forward at the next committee meeting.
Mr. Warren?
Yeah, that's satisfactory. That's fine. So yeah, I'll support the motion to hold.
Other questions or comments?
It's Councilmember Hills.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to, and I'm sure this is known, but just wanted to inform the Commissioner and Department of Watershed that, you know, we do have
have an off week next week, so we have a built-in week to have, some conversations with the members and hope we can get the answers and education that we're seeking and move this forward at the next committee meeting. So I just want to make those comments.
Thank you. Anyone else? There's been a motion to hold, which has been seconded. If there's nothing else, let's open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item will be held.
All right, thank you. Next.
Item number 8 is 22R3116, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the City of South Fulton, Georgia, on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for the purpose of adjusting water and sewer facilities that are in conflict with the City of South Fulton's Road and Bridge Improvement Project, C500 and OSI 601, Butner Road at Camp Creek Parkway Bridge and Road Improvement Project, and an amount not to exceed $1,651,493. All contract award will be charged to and paid from the fund department and account numbers listed and for the purposes.
Thank you. Presentation.
This is Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management again. The purpose of this legislation is to request funds in the amount not to exceed $1,651,493 for construction services related to City of South Fulton's intersection improvement project. The intersection is located at the intersection of Butner Road and Camp Creek Parkway. Watershed Management has an existing section of 24-inch diameter water main and ordinances that present a utility conflict for the project. As a result, Watershed Management scope of work will consist of relocating a section of the water main by removing, abandoning the existing section of water main and installing a new section of water main and appurtenances to accommodate the project. Therefore, this legislation is requesting the required construction services funding to perform the required utility relocation work. There is a map showing the location of the project in the City of South Fulton with the legislation. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Are there any? Committee? I'll make a motion to approve.
1 second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Comments or questions? Seeing none. Let's open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 9 is 22R3117, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding and contract item agreement with the State of Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for the purpose of adjusting water and sewer facilities that are in conflict with the Department of Transportation's road widening project along County Road 1385, Buffington Road, from Royal South Parkway to Rock Quarry Road, and Fulton County, Georgia, project indicator number listed, and an amount not to exceed $1,725,814.55. All contract award will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed and for the purposes.
Thank you. Presenting.
Chairman Shook, this is Rob Bacaro, Department of Watershed Management again. The purpose of this legislation is to request funds in the amount not to exceed $1,725,814.55 for construction services related to a Georgia DOT road widening project along Buffington Road from Royal South Parkway to Royal Rock Quarry Road. Watershed Management has an existing section of water main and appurtenances that present a utility conflict for the project. As a result, Watershed scope of work will consist of installing around 11,500 feet of 6-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch water main and other appurtenances to accommodate the project. This legislation is requesting the required construction services funding to perform the required utility relocation work. There is a map showing the location of the project in the legislation. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Committee, questions or comments? I am not seeing any. Yeah, I'll second. Thank you. Let's open the vote.
Mr. Chair, who was our mover?
Mr. Swan.
One moment. The vote is open. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is 22R3119, a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the First Amendment to Special Procurement Agreement SP121-0228 annual contract for the disposal of treatment waste with Georgia Waste Systems Incorporated, doing business as Waste Management of Atlanta on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management, for the purpose of increasing the not-to-exceed amount and an amount not to exceed $8,950,000.00. All contracted work to be charged and paid from the account numbers listed and for the purposes.
Presenting.
One moment, Mr. Chair. We're trying to confirm if Mr. Quentin Fletcher is on the line for this item.
Thank you. And I believe we skipped over that.
If we need to go back to item number 10, I skipped it. Mr. Chair, we are waiting for Mr. Fletcher to join us. Do you want me to go back and sound the one that I skipped so we can take that one up first?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. 22R3118 is a resolution by City Utilities Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the Second Amendment to Agreement FC10118, Cooperative Purchase Agreement for Small Water Meter Installation and Replacement Service with KM Davis Contracting Company Incorporated via Cobb County Water System Contract Fiscal Year 18-19 new water meter installations for small water meter installation and replacement services on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to add funding for small water meter installation and replacement services in an amount not to exceed $2 million. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed. And Mr. Chair, this is or was a companion item to item number 422-1027 that was discussed and approved earlier.
Yes. And who's presenting?
Hello, this is Eric Hawkins, Department of Watershed Management. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. This legislation supports small meter installations performed by Cam Davis. The city average is 1,500 small meter installations per year, and as indicated, this is a companion to item number 4 on the agenda.
Okay, and what's the value of this contract in terms of services delivered?
$2 million.
No, but why do we need this contract?
Well, the contract is just small meter installations. I have the required on this on our behalf.
Okay, and I'm sorry, my audio there was very bad. I don't know if others could hear what he was saying.
The audio wasn't clear for me as well, Mr. Chair. If we could have them repeat that.
Yeah, please do. Please repeat.
Okay, this contract is required. The city currently is not capable of performing these installations in-house. Therefore, we require the services of a contractor to perform these services. As I mentioned, the city averages 1,500 small meter installations per year. That averages about 27 to 30 small meter installations per week, and 118 to 125 meter installations per month. There's something companion to item number 4 on the agenda.
Yeah, so they're already on board and have been, correct?
Yes, sir, they are.
And I think it was sufficiently established during the deliberation of the prior item that no one, neither in the department or in the legislature, is satisfied with the timeline. So, question, if we didn't have this group under contract, how long would the wait be?
Well, again, the wait would be significant because we wouldn't have the resources to provide these installations in-house.
Well, that's a good answer. It doesn't answer my question. Having this group under contract saves us how much time?
Well, currently we are working towards executing our new SLA, and I can give you guys a quick breakdown on what that is. So under the new SLA that we're working to execute for 1 meter, install 1 meter, 2 to 4 meters, 6 weeks. 5 to 10 meters will be 10 weeks, and meters that are 11 and more will be 15-week SLA.
Okay. I'm going to try again. We've got this group under contract, right? So having them, paying them, ratepayers are paying the freight here. That saves us how much time? If we didn't have them, how much more time would it take?
So I think I understand the question is if we didn't have this contract, how long will it take to install the meters?
Yes.
Well, given historical installation time frame, the answer to that, Councilmember Shuck, I would have to refer back to our historical installation time frames. It's been 15 weeks, but we have made some adjustments to our SLAs based on the number of meters the customer is asking to be placed in the ground. So that would decrease the SLA by several weeks based on the number of meters that are going in the ground. Forgive me if I I'm not answering your question to satisfaction.
Well, I'll let others take a shot at it. Committee questions, comments?
Hey, council members, Chairman Shook, this is Peter Brown. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, allow us to go back to the team. I don't know that information offhand. What would be the time frame if we didn't have the contract? The contract has been in place for some time now, so I can certainly get you that metric for if we didn't have the contractor in place.
Well, look, I mean, based on the prior kind of tenor of the committee, it's pretty clear we're all interested in speeding this up, not slowing it down. I don't know if rolling this contract over helps or hurts. I just don't know. The presentation has been entirely underwhelming. I don't want to do anything to take it from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, but y'all got to sell this.
Understood. And I was working with the team, again, as Deputy Commissioner Hawkins stated, to try to make some determinations on how we can improve turnaround for installation of meters across the operations. And so we do know that we need additional crews, and we're going to look at some smart ways to try and make some improvements and some quick gains to provide small meter installations more efficiently.
I understand that. I'm looking for a way. No, I'm looking for a way to say yes, but so.
Understood. Yeah,
I mean,
right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, this is the contract that we have in place to support us with the small meter installation. It's critical to the day-to-day of our operations. Again, we're working to make some significant improvements on turnaround for installation, and I would appreciate the committee's support with moving it forward, and with the understanding that I will plan to provide an update on the improvements that we plan to make in short order for better, more efficient installation at the next quarterly update.
And that's what we all want. I'm just disappointed that, and usually your testimony and that of your deputies is on point and tight and right. Not today, not on this one. So I'm going to, let's see, I've lost my connection here. Are there other members ready to speak or ask questions? Otherwise, I'll make a motion.
Chair, well, to follow up on this, Councilmember Backyard, to follow up on your point, do we have a timeline in which this response, your question, is there a timeline to have that answer, or is it just be dealt with now, or can we move to hold until this presentation steps apart?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chairman Shook, we want to continue. I think this may cause a interruption in our ability to install meters, and so I would appreciate the committee's support with moving this forward, and with the understanding that I intend to ensure that we make some quick gains in efficiency and provide the necessary information and assurance to the committee that we will do better in this area of small meter installation and just service across our sectors.
Okay, understood. And the companion paper will be on the report. It won't be on the consent agenda. Here's my motion. because we all want this to work as smoothly and efficiently as possible, I'm going to move that we send this forward with no recommendation pending receipt of data showing us the extent to which support of this contract speeds up installation. That's my motion.
Mr. Chair, may I add to the receipt of data request?
Of course.
Thank you. Commissioner, is there any way to also find out, just because I want us to also begin setting a precedent for more responsible contracting, can we also find out what this company's prevailing wage and safety record is as well?
Absolutely, we can get that information to you in committee as well.
Thank you.
Why second that amended into the condition? So it's been moved and properly seconded. Additional questions or comments? All right, let's open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Lewis?
Aye.
The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item moves forward with no recommendation.
Thank you. Next.
We are now back to item number 11, 22R3119, which was already sounded, and I believe Mr. Fletcher is on the line to speak to this item.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Shook and council members. Quentin Fletcher, Department of Watershed Management. The purpose of this legislation is to enter into amendment number 1, adding funds for services in FY22 to accurately reflect the agreement for the disposal of treatment waste with Georgia Waste Systems Incorporated, Waste Management of Atlanta. The Department of Watershed Management is responsible for the disposal of treatment waste generated from its operation of the drinking water and wastewater system. Treatment waste includes biosolids, grit, wastewater screenings, ash, and construction debris going to landfill. DWM received authorization from the Department of Procurement on February 2nd, 2021 to enter into a special agreement for the term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options effective March 1st, 2021. Legislation 21-0-067 approved the city to execute the special agreement not to exceed the amount of $4,150,000.00 for the base term of the agreement. However, DWM intended to establish a not to exceed amount of $4,150,000.00 each year, which is stated in the contract, reflecting the intent of the department waste disposal requirements. Recognizing the need to reduce waste, DWM recently completed a capital improvement project installing thermal dryers at the Iron Clay WRC, which removes moisture from wastewater solids and further reduce the volume. Also, we developed an initiative through our Integrated Zero Waste project. Due to increasing costs of biosolids disposal, led to evaluating whether a regional facility would be cost effective for the department. The department, with Commissioner Browning, developed a regional committee. The committee includes Cobb, Gwinnett, Fulton, DeKalb County, and Clayton County working together to explore options. Subject to your question, that concludes my briefing.
All right, questions or comments? And I'm not seeing the speaker's queue, so speak up.
Make a motion to approve, Hillis.
Thank you.
Second, boom.
Motion's been made and seconded. I have a question. In terms of the existing contract that we have, tell us about the leeway, which, if at all, a contractor can increase our costs. Thank you.
Great question, Chairman Shook. Unfortunately, this is a regional issue. We have experienced problems with landfills in the past, but I am happy to report the special procurement that we have with Waste Management of Atlanta. They have agreed to hold the contract price for 3 years. Inside the agreement, they're able to we're able to enter into one-time escalation of 3%. But to ensure we're sending the driest biosolids to the landfill, I have a meeting with the project manager for Waste Management of Atlanta, once a month to make sure that the products from our thermal dryers as well as our incinerators are meeting that moisture content. So with the agreement we have, we believe in effective communication and meeting with them on a regular basis. They do not have any issues with our product at this time. So we will hold the price for 3 years, and it includes one escalation of 3%.
All right, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? If not, let's open the vote.
Vote is open. Councilmember Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is closed. 7 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable.
Thank you. Next.
That concludes all of our items on the agenda other than held items, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. 2 comments. One, let's just go ahead and knock out the dreaded goals and objectives. Of vastly more importance, we need to schedule a work session so that we can engage and deal with the solid waste issues that are before us. I've spoken with Chairman Juan, and I will ask him to comment. We think it appropriate that this be managed as a joint CU and FEC subject. Of course, all members of council would be invited, and I think we need a virtual work session to frame recent history, current events, why we are where we are, and preferred options, as will be explained by the administration. Mr. Warren, your comments?
Just confirm everything we said and add my gratitude that you're driving the bus and not me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we will be reaching out to the entire body, which is a lot like herding cats. We're not going to be able to get everyone together all at one time, but everything will be recorded. The administration already has a slide deck prepared, and they have already indicated to us that they're happy to have as many one-on-ones as might be requested to fill in possible blanks. So, all right, let's move forward and let's get that set up. Anything else for the good of the body? All right, seeing none, We're adjourned. Thank you.